So what your screen is seeing on the screen is nothing but your half-wave rectifier circuit. So I have used the MATLAB Simulink to simulate your actual circuit. However, in the circuit I have ordered usage of your transformer. Okay, so I am not using any transformer over here for making the circuit as simple as possible. So on the left hand side you have a voltage source, a simple sinusoidal voltage source. So let us check what is there in the voltage source. So what you are seeing on the screen, what's the amplitude, peak value, what's the peak value you are seeing, what's the peak value you are seeing, can you see the peak value? I think the new
The
window is
diagram
not,
is off.
only diagram is shown. Okay, so what I shall do is I'll reshare the entire window desktop. I think now you will be able to see it.
The diagram there, sir. Half a lecture.
Okay, now
Not yet. Something come on the screen, sir.
what? Yeah, you have got a new block parameters, right? What's the parameter you are seeing?
Peak amplitude, phase frequency.
Yeah. What's the value? Can you read the values now?
10
10 sir.
amplitude, 10.
Amplitude.
10
Peak
volts.
amplitude
So
is
Peak
10.
amplitude 10.
so instead of using a transformer and then giving a low voltage, I'm directly taking a low voltage signal over here. It is because in simulation circuit it's easy to take any value of your choice. But however in practice, what we shall do is we shall take the voltage from the power supply, and then we are using a small transformer in our laboratory. The transformer will convert your supply voltage to our desired voltage. Okay, and then frequency of supply is 50 hertz. Okay, now and then I have a diode. Okay, so if I open this diode, you can see that on resistance survey I have taken a very low on resistance. And now I have considered that VF forward voltage as 0. So VF forward voltage as 0 means that I do not have any drop across your diode. So I'm as if I'm taking it as a ideal switch. So ideal switch means it's a short circuit switch where I do not have any voltage drop across the element. So I'm not taking any voltage drop across the your diode in forward bias. Okay, so forget about this number resistance, number capacitance. These are only protective elements. Okay, and then if I tick this show measurement port, then a additional uh, node called M will be shown. M sometimes in some MATLAB it will be shown as E. So M means that it's a measurement value. Okay, so in order to get what is there in the measurement, I'll use something called bus selector. So this is called as a bus selector. Okay, so if I how to use this bus selector means there are two signals in the bus selector. I have the diode current which I'm getting from the diode, and also I'm getting the diode voltage. I can simply select the signal, and then the selected signals will be shown here. So here I have selected both the signals, both the diode voltage and current, and then here I have a load resistor. So I'll check what's the value of the load resistor. So not to use the resistor and not use a simple resistor, I use a series RLC branch, because in order to ensure that all the elements belong to the same toolbox, I use the power systems toolbox, sim power systems toolbox, in which I taken a series RLC branch, and in the branch I have selected the R. So you can also have RL, only pure inductor, pure capacitors, RL, RC, open circuit, and so all such options are available. I'm considering a simple resistor R with resistance 1 ohm. Now your circuit is finished. Now coming to the measurements, I'm taking a voltage measurement unit. I've named it as input voltage. So I'm connecting this voltage measurement unit across the supply terminals. So if this measures your input voltage, and then I also have the another voltage measurement unit, which I named it as output voltage. That's the name I have given. It is not inbuilt. Inbuilt, it will be the port will be known as voltage measurement. Okay, and then I'm connecting across the load register, and then from the bus selector I have two signals: diode voltage and diode current. Okay, so altogether I have four signals to measure: input voltage, diode voltage, output voltage, and diode current. All these four signals I'm giving to a block called scope. By default, the scope will have only one axis. Now I can choose the number of axes by clicking on the scope. So here axis settings will be there. If you go over there, then you can check the number of axes and all those things. Okay. Now what I'll be doing is I have to run this circuit. To run the circuit, I required a first for the circuit to work. I required the power board, right? That power can be, you can take it from this block called power GUI. This block is called as power GUI, where the signal power is a continuous signal. It's not a discrete signal, so that's why continuous is shown over here. Because I want to show only 5 full cycles, I have taken the simulation time as 0.1 seconds. Because for 50 Hz, the time period is 20 milliseconds. I'll be showing 5 full cycles. So that's why I've taken the time period as 20 milliseconds into 5, that is 0.1 second. And then in order to get a better output, I have to check your simulation parameters also. So I'm using a ODE 23 TB solver. So by default your solver will be ODE 45, but now I am changing the solver to get a smooth output. So these solvers are nothing but they solve some kind of differential equations for the entire system, and they will produce the output. Okay, for the whatever the diagram we are drawing, some kind of equations will be created in the background, and then they will be solved to get the outputs. Okay. These things you can see in the settings depending upon your MATLAB uh, version. You have the settings at different tabs. For example, here I am going to the model settings. If I go to the model settings, here you can see the solver. Here you can choose here it is given ODE 23 TB, which I have selected. So by default it will be ODE 45. This will be your default solver. So ODE is nothing but ordinary differential equation. Okay, so and then I'm taking a maximum step size, a very small step size of 0.0001 for the solver. So depending upon solver, your output waveform graph will also be vary. Okay, and then I'm clicking on apply and OK. Now I'll be going to the scope, and then I'm running this circuit. Okay, now you can see that circuit has been executed. So what you are seeing in the screen, please respond. What's the first graph? What is the first graph?
Sinusoidal.
What?
Sine wave.
It's a sine wave. It's a input voltage. Can you see the legend that I have given? Can you see this name, input voltage? So it's a pure sinusoidal wave, and you can see the peak value. Peak value of this sinusoidal curve is 10. So it is varying between plus 10 and minus 10 volts. Okay, and then second graph is your diode voltage. It's a voltage across your diode. So for the positive half cycle of the input supply, that is from between the time 0 to 0.01 seconds, you can see that the voltage across your diode is 0. It means that your diode is in forward bias and acting as a closed switch. For a closed switch, ideal switch, your voltage drop across the switch is equal to 0, which I have taken that VF as 0. That's why it is showing the voltage as 0. Can you see the voltage to be 0 for the diode in the positive half cycle of the supply?
Yes, sir.
And for the negative half cycle, you can see that whatever the input supply is there, the same supply you are observing across your diode. In the last class itself, we told that in the reverse bias, your diode will act like an open switch. Open switch means your supply, entire supply will appear across your switch terminals, right? Here, your supply will be appearing across your diode terminals, where diode is acting as a switch. So diode will act like a ideal open switch or a switch in off condition. So whatever the supply you are giving, that entire supply will be appearing across your diode. Now you have one more element in your circuit, which is your resistor. And did you cover this series elements and parallel elements in your circuit analysis? Is the topic is covered? Analysis of a
Yes, sir.
series circuit. Yes. So
Yes,
in a
sir.
series, so in a series circuit, what is the total resistance, effective resistance? If I have two elements, R1 and R2,
R1 plus R2.
R1 plus
plus
R2, sir.
R2. Yeah, fine. That's your effective resistance. Okay. And how will be the voltages? Voltage will be equal or a voltage will be shared?
Shared, sir.
By the shared, right? So the voltage will be shared proportional to the resistances, right? So Vx is proportional to Rx. You might have some sir might have given an equation that Vx is equal to Rx by R equivalent into supply voltage Vs, right? Is that equation covered for you?
Yes, sir.
Sir, voltage division method.
Yes, right? Yeah, volt divider method. That voltage across a given element in a series circuit is proportional to the resistance of that element, right? So in the positive half cycle, you can see that the voltage across your diode is 0. So you also know this equation that supply voltage Vs is equal to V1 plus V2. Here V1 is your voltage across the diode, V2 is the voltage across your load resistor, right? So when V1 Vs is almost your 10 volts, it's a sinusoidal curve in the positive half cycle. In the positive half cycle, your diode voltage V1 is equal to 0. So it means that your voltage across the second element, which is your resistor, will be equal to the supply voltage Vs. Okay. Did you understand that what I'm saying? Supply voltage Vs is a sinusoidal curve in the positive half cycle. That Vs should be equal to V1 plus V2, where V1 and V2 are the voltage across the two series elements. The first series element is your diode, across which the voltage I am observing is 0. And the second element is your load resistor. So Vs is equal to 0 plus V2. So V2 will be equal to Vs. Now in the positive half cycle, you will be seeing that voltage across your the resistor, output voltage. Output voltage will be exactly the same as that of your input voltage. Here, what is the output voltage you are seeing on the screen here? The second graph you are seeing. Yeah, see the sinusoidal curve again. It is varying between 0 to 10 in the positive half cycle. Okay. And the negative half cycle, the diode voltage is equal to a negative portion will be there, which is following the supply voltage. So in the second half cycle, your diode voltage V1 is equal to your Vs. So obviously your V2 will be equal to 0. That's why you can see that output voltage V2 as 0. So in the output, what you are observing, the output voltage is sinusoidal only for the positive half cycle. Whereas for the negative half cycle, what happens? What's your output voltage for the negative half cycle?
0,
Please
sir.
respond. 0, right?
0,
And
sir.
what is the frequency of your output voltage? Okay, what is the frequency of your output voltage waveform? Is it 50 hertz or is it not 50 hertz?
It's 25 hertz, sir.
Please.
It's not 50,
50
sir.
hertz, sir.
Not 55, sir.
Oh, we shall see the recording. It's still 50 hertz because your entire waveform is not only the sinusoidal portion but also the 0 is also there. The entire thing combinedly is your total waveform, which is repeating itself. So your periodicity is still 20 millisecond and the frequency still remains at 50 hertz. Okay, now let us see the output current. So output current is nothing but output voltage by your resistor. So I naught is nothing but your voltage by resistor. And here the resistor is your RL. RL I have taken as 1 ohm. That's why it is getting the same wave you are getting. So last wave is your diode current or because there are two series elements. You know that in series circuit, current across through each element is the same. You know that in series circuit, current will remain the same, whereas voltage will be divided, right? So whether it's a diode current or the current through the resistor, both will be the same. Okay, there. So your diode current is or your current through the load resistor is following the output voltage, which is sinusoidal in the positive half cycle and then 0 in the negative half cycle. Now we shall go back to our I'll close this, and now we'll go back to our analysis part. So in the last class, we had derived the expression for IDC, right? Did we derive? So did we derive the expression for IDC? So IDC your average output current. What's the average output current we have obtained? Im by pi. So please respond if my
EM by
seeing my
pi.
screen. Yeah. So it is Vm by pi. Okay, where Vm is your peak voltage of your input signal. And then similarly, VDC is equal to Vm by pi we are getting. And then we have also find out the IRMS. What's the IRMS value you have obtained in the last class?
IM by 2, sir.
Im by 2.
EM by 2.
So this which is equal to Vm by 2 into RF plus RL.
RL.
Okay. So if you neglect the forward resistance, okay, of the diode, you can consider it to be Vm by 2R. This is your RMS value. Okay. It is not Im by root 2. Im by root is valid only for pure sinusoidal curve. Our output current is not your sinusoidal curve. It is partially sinusoidal in the positive half cycle. It is 0 in the negative half cycle. And then we shall find out VRMS. So what will be your VRMS? VRMS will be equal to the output voltage, right? So it will be IRMS into RL. So it will be equal to what is IRMS? Vm by 2 into Rf plus RL into RL. If you neglect this Rf again, this will be 0 and this RL gets cancelled. So you will be left out with Vm by 2. Okay. So now you got two terms, which is your VRMS and IRMS, right? Now we shall we shall define a term called form factor. Okay. So your form factor is defined as a ratio of RMS value to average value. Okay. So your form factor is defined as a term which is equal to your RMS value to average value. Okay. Now you have to factor in the half-wave rectified output value. Okay. So you take out your notebook and find out the value of this form factor. You tell me the value of this form factor. Accurate to 2 decimals. Okay. So I'll give you a minute for you to calculate. It's very simple. You already have the RMS value. RMS value is Vm by 2. Average value is also given Vm by pi. What's its value? What is RMS value? Vm by 2
2RL.
divided by average value is Vm
Vm
by
by pi.
pi. So it will be equal to Vm gets cancelled. It will be equal to pi by 2. So it is equal to 1.57. Okay. You can mute yourself now. Please mute. Okay. Form factor value is now equal to 1.57. So did you ever found out the form factor for a pure sinusoidal wave? Use for a
1.1.
half. Okay. So how do you get that 1.11? So for a full sinusoidal signal, for sinusoidal, pure sinusoidal signal, what's RMS value?
Form
It
factor
is
value.
Vm by root 2. What's the average value? Average value is, tell me the average value of a sinusoidal signal.
1 by pi integral f of
Hmm? Okay.
integral
So it is
f of x.
RMS value is Vm by root 2, right? What's the average value? So if you do not know the average value, you need not by heart anything. So you may take 2 more minutes to find out the average value. So what you need to do is, so if you take the signal, so if you have to tell in true terms, your average value should be equal to 0. If you are taking both the positive half cycle, negative half cycle, both the areas will be get cancelled. However, for the pure sinusoidal signal, we are only calculating the average value for the only one half cycle, only for the positive half cycle. We are not considering the negative half cycle. If you consider negative half cycle, then your total average for the full cycle is equal to 0. That's why for a pure sinusoidal wave or any kind of symmetrical waves, we will only find out the average value for only the first half cycle. Okay. So for the first half cycle, your time period is 0 to
Integral to 0 to 2 pi.
pi, not 2 pi. We will not consider for 2 pi. We are only doing for 0 to pi, because if you
0
consider
to
for 0 to 2 pi, then the average value will be equal to 0. Okay, so 1 by pi minus 0 into integral 0 to pi. The waveform is Vm sin theta d theta. Okay, so 1 by pi. So Vm will bring it outside. So integral cos theta is, sorry, integral sin theta is minus cos theta 0 to pi. So Vm by pi minus cos pi is minus 1, minus of minus 1 minus cos 0 is 1. So it is 2 Vm by pi. Okay, so average value is equal to, so average value is 2 Vm by pi for a full sinusoidal waveform. Okay, now what will be your form factor? Ff will be equal to RMS value, which is Vm by root 2 divided by 2 Vm by pi. Vm gets cancelled. Now this will be equal to 1 by root 2 will be over here. This 2 will come downward, and this pi will go to the numerator. So it is pi by 2 root 2. So what is pi by 2 root 2? If you find out pi by 2 root 2, let me check the value. I'll take 3.14 divided by 2 divided by root 2. It is around 1.11. Okay, this is how you get the form factor. Okay. Okay. So For a full sinusoidal signal, your form factor is 1.11, whereas for a half wave rectifier, your form factor is 1.57. Okay, so in the quiz, I may ask you form factor for a different waveform, for a fully rectified output, for a half wave rectified output, for a full sinusoidal waveform, for a bridge configuration, how much, for a let us say for a center tapped configuration, how much, like this. Such kind of questions might be asked in your quiz. And then once the form factor is over, then we'll be formulating another term called peak factor. Okay, so peak factor is nothing but ratio of peak value to RMS. So peak factor is nothing but ratio of peak value to RMS value. Okay, peak value to RMS value. Okay, now we have to find out the peak factor for the half wave rectified output. Okay, what's the peak value you are taking? Peak voltage is Vm. What's the RMS voltage? Vm by 2. Is not RMS voltage Vm by 2? Let us check again. So did we get the RMS value Vm by 2? Yes, we got Vm by 2. Okay, so what will be the peak factor? Peak factor will be equal to
2.
Okay, yeah. So in your essay answer, you will be asked like this: for a given, so explain the operation of a half wave rectifier, and then determine the following terms. So you'll be asking what's the form factor, what's the peak factor, what is the RMS value, what's the average value, like that questions will be asked. So you need to first draw the circuit diagram. You have to explain the operation of the circuit with the help of your waveforms. You have to draw the waveforms, you have to explain the waveforms, and then you have to determine these terms. So there are almost 7 to 8 terms are there, but in a given question they may ask you only 3 or 4 terms. Okay, as per the question you have to write the answer. So once your peak factor is over, next we have to find out the peak inverse voltage. So peak inverse voltage is nothing but the maximum voltage appearing across the maximum or safe operating voltage appearing across the diode in the reverse bias. As the name, peak inverse voltage, it means that it's a maximum value appearing of the voltage appearing across the diode in the reverse bias. Okay, so let us open the our waveform here. So what is the maximum value you are seeing here in the circuit? So I'll zoom it for you. So what's the maximum value you are seeing here? What's the maximum value you are seeing here? Max the reverse voltage.
10, sir.
10, right? Okay, it is 10. So because the supply voltage peak value is plus 10, means your magnitude is 10. That's why you're getting here minus 10, right? So similarly, if you are giving a peak value voltage of Vm, then what will be the peak inverse voltage? Peak inverse voltage will be also magnitude will be equal
Minus
to your
Vm.
Vm. No, we only have to tell only the magnitude. So peak inverse voltage will be equal to Vm. Okay, so I'll be writing that in the whiteboard. So next term that we are learning is here peak inverse voltage. Peak inverse voltage. So peak inverse voltage is the maximum voltage appearing across the diode in the reverse bias. So this peak inverse voltage, or sometimes it will be simply given PIV value. Here it is equal to Vm. And then we'll move on to a next term. So this is nothing but what we are doing is we are analyzing the circuit and determining some circuit parameters. Okay. So So next term is called ripple factor. So ripple factor is nothing but we are find out the magnitude of the output. If you see the output, is it a pure DC, constant DC, or it is having any kind of AC component? Is your output? Are you getting a
Lightly.
constant DC over here?
No, sir.
Or
No, sir.
no? Here you are having something like you have a sinusoidal term in your positive half cycle and the constant 0 in the negative half cycle. So it's not a constant DC. Okay. So for any rectifier, our final object is to get a constant DC. Okay. But however, unfortunately, our rectifier is limited by its configuration that it is not able to deliver the constant DC. So although we require a constant DC in the output, we are getting some AC quantity, so alternating quantity in the output. Okay, so always our aim should be in such a way that we have to reduce the magnitude of this AC quantity. Okay, so we have to reduce something called ripple. So ripple is nothing but this wavy like structure is there. This should be limited. This magnitude should be limited. We should get something like almost a constant horizontal curve. Okay. So this wavy like nature of the output waveform is known as ripple. This ripple should be reduced. So before we reduce the ripple, before we want to reduce the ripple, we have to get some kind of idea regarding this ripple. Okay. So in order to quantify this ripple, we have a term called ripple factor. Okay. The AC component in the output voltage is said to be the ripple, which is undesirable. And this has to be as small as possible. Okay. Because output we should be getting a DC, however, we have a AC quantity which has to be as low as possible. Okay. Now I'll define the ripple factor. So ripple factor is defined as a ratio of effective value of AC component of the voltage or the current to the direct or the average value. So ripple factor is nothing but ratio of the ripple voltage by average value, or I can say that it is VAC RMS. I'll run the whiteboard again. So I'll ripple factor is equal to ripple voltage by DC voltage. Okay, so I should have two quantities. One is the ripple voltage and the other is the DC voltage. Okay, so first we shall have to define what is this ripple voltage or the AC voltage or the AC component, or we can write a VAC RMS by VDC. Okay, so what's the relationship between this output voltage and the VAC RMS is that V RMS square, the output RMS has two components. One is the DC component, other is the AC component. The relationship between them is that V RMS square is equal to V DC square plus VAC RMS square. So AC means the ripple quantity, the ripple voltage. Okay. So from this, what will be a ripple factor? Ripple factor is given by a small term called rho. So we'll be writing just a minute. Rho, ripple factor rho is equal to your VAC RMS. So what will be a VAC RMS? Now it is equal to V RMS square minus VDC square divided by VDC. Okay. Now if you take this denominator VDC into the under root, what will be? It will be V RMS square minus VDC square by VDC square, or your rho is equal to V RMS by VDC whole square minus 1, because VDC square by VDC square is equal to 1. Okay, Now, what is VRMS by VDC? What is your VRMS by VDC? Please answer. What is VRMS by VDC? What's the ratio of VRMS by VDC? Or VDC is nothing but your average value. What is your VRMS to the V average value? We are
Form
just seen.
factors. Form factors.
1.5.
So form factor. So it is
Form factor.
form factor square minus 1.
Form
Okay. Now you
factor.
have, yeah, form factor is your VRMS by VDC is nothing but your form factor. Okay. Now you can mute. So for a half-wave rectifier output, here form factor is nothing but pi by 2, right? 1.57 whole square minus 1. Okay, so this is what you will get. So, or it is 1.57 square minus 1. So you have to calculate this value. So let me calculate 1.57 into 1.57 minus 1. So I have to take the under root. So under root of 1.57 into 1.57 minus 1. Getting around 1.21. So this is your ripple factor. You can see that ripple factor is greater than 1. Can you see that ripple factor is greater than 1? It means that you have AC quantity, AC RMS quantity by DC quantity greater than 1. It means that your AC component is much higher than your DC component, which is not required. So we are able to convert the AC into DC, but however still in the output we are observing a AC ripple quantity. So this is very high. Okay, so this is not desired. For a proper rectifier or for an ideal rectifier, your ripple factor should be as low as possible. So ideally, your ripple factor should be equal to 0. So what happens when your ripple factor is equal to 0? Your AC quantity will be equal to 0. Your VAC RMS will be equal to 0. Okay. So for ideal rectifier, you should have ripple factor close to 0. Okay. If your ripple factor is higher, it means that it is not a good rectifier. Okay. So always you have to choose a rectifier whose ripple factor is low. Okay. So next term we shall check. So your ripple factor is also over. So next term is nothing but your rectifier efficiency. Okay. So this rectifier efficiency and transformer utilization factor, two terms are there. These two things I will cover along with your once all your bridge configurations are or your configurations for your rectifiers are over, because these are little complex terms. So I will derive them at once so that you will not have any kind of confusions. Okay. So now I'll move on to the next topic called full wave rectifier. Okay, so before I move on to the full wave rectifier, I'll show you some of the numericals related to your half wave rectifier. So how many terms we have covered till now? Let us go back and review. So we have covered DC output current, and then we have covered DC output voltage. We have covered RMS current. So is my screen visible to you? Is my screen visible to you? Please
Yes, sir.
answer.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Third, we have covered RMS current, and then we have covered RMS voltage, form factor, peak factor, and then we have covered peak inverse voltage, we have covered ripple factor. Till now 8 terms we have covered. So still 2 more terms are left out: rectifier efficiency and transformer utilization factor. These 2 terms are little complex. I will explain these terms at last. Okay, when I'm doing a comparison of your rectifiers, I'll derive these terms. Okay, next we have some questions related to the half-wave rectifier. These are the model questions. These may or may not come for you. So these are the model questions. So can you read out this question? Somebody can read out for me. Please read out for me. Voltage of, yeah, read out. Please read out.
A voltage of 500 cos omega t is applied to half-wave rectifier with load resistance of 5 kilo ohms. Determine the ripple factor, transformer
Utilization factor,
utilization
okay.
factor,
PIV.
PIV, and rectifier efficiency of the rectifier.
Okay, so here for your transfer utilization factor and rectifier efficiency are not yet covered. So we leave that part. So we'll first see how to deal with this ripple factor and PIV. So what is the ripple factor you are getting for this rectifier? What will be your ripple factor? Even without keeping your pen, can you determine the ripple factor?
1.21.
1.21. Okay, however, because the question if it is given for essay answer, let us say from 7 marks answer, you need to derive it. We cannot directly write the formula. Okay, you can mention the formula, but however, better always draw some waveforms and then do the integration and then write the answer. But for objective, you can directly use the formula and write. Factor I'm getting again 1.21. So can you see that? And then even without doing anything, I can write that. And then you have your PIV. What is your PIV value? PIV value I can directly write. PIV value will be equal to your VM. So what is the VM in the question given? 500, right? So 500 cos omega t. So even if you convert into sinusoidal waveform, it will be sin omega t minus pi by 2. Okay, so your VM will be equal to 500. So your peak inverse voltage will be equal to 500 volts. So your peak inverse voltage will be equal to 500 volts. You have another question. So please read out this question. Please read out this question for me. Is my screen visible?
Volt,
yeah.
A 230 volt 60 Hz voltage is applied to primary of a 5:1 step-down transformer used in half-wave rectifier having a load of 900 ohms. If the diode resistance and secondary coil resistance together have a resistance of 100 ohms, determine DC voltage across the load, DC current flowing through the load, DC power delivered to the load, PIV across each diode, ripple voltage, ripple frequency.
Okay, so here we are getting, so till now I have simply avoided the usage of the transformer, but still in this question you are coming across a transformer. So simply what you need to do is, so supply voltage 230 and the step down transformer ratio is 5:1. So what will be the voltage in the secondary of the transformer? It will be 230 by 5. Okay, so your input voltage will be equal to, so what I'm doing, I'm finding out the peak value. So whatever in the any question in electrical subject, if you're coming across any voltage value, unless and until specifically mentioned, the voltage mentioned will always be a RMS value. For example, in the previous question, we have seen that he has simply given the 500 cos omega t. From this, we can know that 500 is a peak value. It's not the RMS value. Okay. Whereas here, he has mentioned only the voltage value. He has not mentioned whether it's a peak value or average value or RMS value. If nothing is mentioned, should always consider it to be a RMS value. Okay. And RMS value for a RMS value from the supply. So it's a pure sinusoidal signal. So for this signal, your peak voltage will be equal to, so our RMS voltage will be equal to Vm by root 2, not Vm by 2, because we have not yet rectified the supply voltage. Okay, so on the primary side your peak voltage Vm will be equal to 230 by 230 into root. On the secondary side your peak voltage will be equal to 230 into root 2 divided by 5:1. Then you will get some value. So I'm not much bothered about the numerical values, so let us keep it aside. Then what we are doing, earlier we have considered an expression, we have neglected the RF value, right? Because the diode resistance is very small. Okay, but however now not only the diode resistance in the circuit, if you see the circuit diagram, we have now 3 elements in the circuit. On the secondary side, leave over the primary side, on the secondary side you have 3 elements in the circuit in a series. One is your transformer secondary, and then you have your diode, and then you have your RL. So earlier in our case we have not considered this transformer secondary, but now because in the question he has mentioned, we'll be taking that also into account. So not only when you are dividing this in the equivalent resistance, what you have to write, so you know that Vx is equal to supply voltage Vs into Rx by R equivalent, right? So here R equivalent is sum of the resistance of your in the series circuit, right? Here resistance should be resistance of your transformer plus resistance of your diode plus load resistor RL. In the question he has mentioned that diode resistance and transformer resistance, secondary coil resistance together have a resistance of 100 ohms. Okay, all the diode resistance is small, including the transformer secondary has mentioned that. So it is RF plus R transformer. Okay, so in place of RF you will be replacing with RF plus this secondary coil resistance. Okay, now RL is given, now I will be replacing that. So only difference between the theory part and here is that we are not neglecting that RF quantity. Instead we are replacing that value given in the question. Okay, everything else will remain the same. We are simply avoiding the neglecting the term RF. Okay, we are including that RF term also. In place of RF we have to write RF plus R coil, that's it. Everything else will remain the same. So your VDC is equal to Vm by pi into RL by RL plus RF. If you neglect this RF term, what we have written after neglecting RF term, we have simply we are just crossing RL and RL, we are writing that Vm by pi as DC voltage. But if you are not neglecting, it will be Vm by pi into RL by RL plus RF. Similarly in the IDC also you will get this RF term. And then DC power delivered to the load will be equal to IDC square into RL. So when he is asking DC power, he have to write only the DC current, quantity of the current. So once you find out the IDC value, you are replacing over here. So load is always your load resistor. Here RL we are writing. Then we are getting the power delivered to the load. And then PAV. So PAV will be equal to VM. So VM is nothing but your voltage that we have calculated at the secondary of the transformer. So at the secondary of the transformer, the voltage you have calculated is 230 into root 2 by 5, the same voltage. So you should not write directly 230 or 230 into root 2. You should write after including the transformer ratio also. So you are getting 230 into root 2 by 5. And the ripple voltage is nothing but root or Vrms square by minus VDC square. Vrms square also we are including the RF term. Okay, VDC also we have to include the RF term. So we can find out the ripple voltage. So ripple frequency. So ripple frequency means nothing but your output frequency. Output frequency, what is your output frequency? In a half wave rectifier? Same as that of your input frequency. That's why we are writing that in half wave rectifier, it is equal to that of your supply frequency, that is 60 Hz. Okay. So let us move on to the next question. So can you read out the next question? Please read out the next question.
A sinusoidal voltage whose Vm is equal to 24 is applied to half-wave rectifier. The diode may be considered to be ideal and RL is equal to 1.8 kilo ohms. Is connected as load. Find out the peak value of current, RMS value of current, DC value of current and ripple factor.
So again here because it is given diode is considered to be ideal, we will be neglecting the RF value. Okay, we will directly writing that peak value will be equal to Im will be equal to peak value of current Im will be equal to Vm by RL. We are will neglecting that RF term, and then similarly RMS value will be equal to, we will be directly writing Im by 2. Okay, so once we find out the Im, we can directly write Im by 2. We are neglecting that RF term. Okay, so for an ideal diode, RF will be equal to 0. So first we find out Im, and then RMS value is equal to Im by 2. We are finding out RMS current, and then DC current is equal to Im by pi. Here also we are neglecting that RF term. Okay, and then ripple factors again 1.211. So all the numerical questions. So these are different types of questions are covered. Okay. Additionally, only two things I need to cover in this topic. One is your transformer utilization factor, and then rectifier efficiency. These two things I'll cover once the entire rectifier configurations are over. Okay, so that you'll have a comparatively, the derivations. Next topic is your full wave rectifier. In the full wave rectifier, I have two configurations. One is your bridge configuration, other is your full wave rectifier. I have two configurations. One is a bridge rectifier, other is your using your center tapped transformer. Now I'll be showing you the simulation diagram. So analysis we shall do it in the next class, upcoming class. Okay, so I'll close this circuit. Instead I'll open the full wave rectifier. So this is your full wave bridge rectifier, in which I have 4 diodes in the form of a bridge. So this is type of setup is known as your bridge configuration. So instead of a single diode, I have 4 diodes: diode D1, D2, D3, and D4. So they are connected in such a way that, so the cathode of diode D1 is connected to the cathode of diode D3, and similarly anode of diode D4 is connected to the anode of diode D2, and then cathode of D4 connected to the D1, cathode of D2 connected to the D3. So simply what we are writing all the anodes towards the bottom side and the cathodes to the top end. Okay, and there we are giving the supply between these junctions. So we have a between this D1 and D4 diodes, we have a node. At this node we are giving the one terminal of your supply, and then other terminal of the supply we are giving to the junction between the diodes D2 and D3. Okay, so you can see that there is a difference between two diodes. So it is nothing but when we are clicking this diode, if you are clicking on the show measurement port, your additional node called E is obtained. Okay, so out of this 4 diodes, I'm only showing the measurements of only one diode. That's why I've considered only for diode D1 I have considered this measurement port. So otherwise all the 4 diodes are identical diodes. Okay, for these diodes I'm considering the resistance to be very small, 0.001 ohms, and also considering the forward voltage as 0. So I'm considering them to be almost ideal diodes, such that when they are in forward bias, they act like a closed switches. Okay, and then I'm connecting the resistor across this bridge. I have a input voltage measurement unit over here, and then I have a output current measurement unit So you know that ammeter should be connected in series. That's why I connected the ammeter in series with the resistor. And then I have an output voltage measurement unit over here. And out of these measurements from this diode, I'm only selecting only one signal, diode voltage. So if I click this diode bus selector, I have two signals, but I'm only considering the one signal, diode voltage. Okay, so all these signals I'm giving to the scope. So for the scope, I have four signals. You can see that first signal is your input voltage, second signal is your diode voltage, third signal is your output voltage, fourth signal is your output current. Again, I have taken the simulation time as 0.1 seconds and giving the power GI over here. Again, the magnitude of the current voltage I'm taking is 10 volts with 50 Hz frequency. Okay, now if I run this circuit, and open the scope, can you see these outputs? What you are observing? So what is the supply voltage? Supply voltage is a sinusoidal signal, which time period 0.02 seconds, that is 20 millisecond. Okay, and the second signal is your diode voltage. So what you are observing the diode voltage? What you are observing here, for the positive half cycle of the supply, the voltage across your diode D1 is equal to 0. It means that for the positive half cycle, your diode D1 is in forward bias. Okay, when it's in forward bias, it's acting like a closed switch. When a switch is closed, it's a short circuit. So you will not see any voltage across the diode. And for the negative half cycle of the supply, you are seeing that entire voltage is appearing across your supply. Okay, sorry, across your diode. So what is the peak inverse voltage? Can you tell the peak inverse voltage across the diode in this configuration? Please tell me what is the peak inverse voltage you are finding out here from this diagram. 10 volts. That is 10 volts. Okay, so here you have the minus 10. It's your peak voltage across your diode, peak inverse voltage. So peak inverse voltage is equal to 10 volts. So it is same as your supply voltage. Okay, and then this is your output voltage. If you see the output voltage, what you are seeing for the positive half cycle, it is the same as your supply voltage. For the negative half cycle, however, your negative half cycle is not appearing either as a negative half cycle or as a 0, but instead your negative half cycle has been mirror imaged and you are getting a positive half cycle in the for the negative half cycle of your input. Okay, so even for the negative half cycle of the supply, you are getting a positive half cycle in the output. Okay, so what is the frequency of your output voltage or the time? First tell me the time period and you can tell me the frequency next. What is the time period of this curve? Time period or period? 0.01 seconds, that is 10 milliseconds. So your time period has been reduced to half. Then your frequency is equal to 1 by time period, then it will be double. So your frequency is not 50 Hz, your output frequency is now 100 Hz. Okay, so your output frequency is equal to 100 Hz. So if you are given a numerical question, so find out your ripple frequency or something, your ripple frequency will be, frequency is now doubled because time period has been reduced, right? So you are seeing that repetition of your curve in the output for every 0.01 seconds. It is not for 0.02 seconds. Earlier it was supply is repeating after every 0.02 seconds, whereas output is repeating after every 0.01. Okay, your supply frequency is now supply frequency 50 Hz. Now output frequency will be double that of your supply frequency. So in case if you are asked any question that what is the frequency of the output in a full wave rectifier in a bridge configuration, you should tell that it is double that of the supply frequency. If the supply frequency is 50 Hz, it will be 100 Hz. If the supply frequency 60 Hz, it will be 120 Hz. Okay, and similarly your current is now following your output voltage curve, because current is nothing but your voltage divided by resistor. I have taken only 1 ohm again. So your current is following that of your resistance. So last waveform is the output current waveform. So major difference you are seeing from half wave rectifier to full wave rectifier is that in the half wave rectifier negative half cycle, in the output the value is equal to 0, whereas in a full wave rectifier circuit in the bridge configuration, negative half cycle, for the negative half cycle of the supply, you are getting a positive half cycle in the output, and then your output voltage frequency is doubled. Okay, so that's it for today. We shall discuss the analysis of the circuit in the upcoming classes. So before I take a leave, I'll take the attendance, so please wait for a moment. So if you have any doubts, you can raise, you can remain for 5 more minutes, otherwise you can leave. So those who do not have any doubts, they can leave the session. I'll wait for 2 more minutes so that I can answer any of your doubts. So class is over. So some are joining, if any of you are joining after 10 or 15 minutes after the beginning of the class, I will not give the attendance. That's why you might have observed that some of you are getting very low attendance. Okay. So those who are marked red in the attendance list, they should be worrying not about the attendance, but regarding the subject. Okay. Because the subject you cannot. Hello.
Chaitanya